This is the CBS Evening News. Dan Rather reporting. Good evening. More on the Meese mess. President Reagan now is playing fierce defense for his friend, political operative, and U.S. Attorney General Edwin Meese. Mr. Reagan is doing so as his aides hotly deny that Nancy Reagan now is among some prominent Republicans who want Meese out. Meese himself denied that another one of his own top Justice Department aides will resign because of all the questions and investigations of Meese's ethics and conduct in office. Meese is also quickly becoming a liability to Republican candidates. Bill Plant reports how President Reagan, Vice President Bush, and their inner circles are trying to deal with growing talk that Meese must go.
President Reagan repeated his commitment to the Attorney General today and suggested that nothing anyone at the Justice Department had to say would change his mind.
I have every confidence in him. He's been a friend for 20 years, and I'm not going to comment any further on what is going on there.
The Attorney General insisted he has no plans to step down and acted as though the protest resignations yesterday of two of his top aides had hardly been noticed.
The management team is very strong and everything's going along well, so business is operating as usual at the Justice Department.
But the resignations have dramatically increased the pressure on Meese. Even the Vice President said, quote, "We've got to restore confidence in the Justice Department."
Let's wait and see what the facts are, but it troubles me, no question about that.
On Capitol Hill, the gloves were off. Senate Majority Leader Byrd, urging Meese to resign, called him the crown jewel of the sleaze factor in Reagan administration history.
I think it's only a matter of time before the Attorney General will leave office.
If the top people in justice no longer trust Mr. Meese, how can the American people?
There is a very important issue as to whether the United States Department of Justice can function at the present time with Attorney General Edwin Meese in charge.
Meese's supporters contend that investigations of his role in the WedTech scandal and an Iraqi oil pipeline project have resulted in no indictments and that he is entitled to a presumption of innocence. But former top Justice Department officials say the issue has moved beyond guilt or innocence.
I don't really see how he can expect to continue to lead the department after resignations in circumstances like this.
I think it's really a question of taking hold of facing the real problem. The real problem is one of credibility, and I think there really has no choice but to go.
Sources say the president will probably meet with Meese tomorrow, but only to assure him of his support. The betting here is that unless Meese is indicted, he'll remain on the job. Bill Plant, CBS News, the White House.
A meeting today between Democratic frontrunner Jesse Jackson and power people inside the party. Party leaders privately fret about the Jackson surge, but Jackson and his aides say no one said it to his face today. Michael Dukakis came off his backyard Connecticut primary victory yesterday, claiming it gave him what he needed to stop talk that he is fighting. Senator Albert Gore came in third, leaving Gore yet to prove that he is a truly national candidate who can win someplace, anyplace outside the South. CBS News chief political correspondent Bruce Morton reports on how all this sets the stage for the Dukakis-Jackson-Gore showdown to come in Wisconsin next Tuesday.
In Washington, Jesse Jackson met with his advisors and with some of the Democratic Party's senior movers and shakers.
So in some sense, I sought to convene this meeting, a kind of summit meeting on the state of the Democratic Party.
I think what he wishes to do is to broaden the contacts that he has within the party.
Jackson canceled one meeting with Senator Albert Gore, who attacked him yesterday over Middle Eastern policy.
I think it's ridiculous. He's a major contender for the White House. Is he to be immune from any questioning of his positions on the issues?
Gore was on a farm here in Wisconsin, the next primary state, insisting he's a serious candidate here.
I think we've got momentum in the state. I think that we've got a lot of enthusiastic supporters here, and I'm very optimistic about it.
But at Dukakis headquarters in Milwaukee, the view is Gore won't matter, neither will Paul Simon. It's Jackson and Dukakis.
For all practical purposes, this is, I think, round one of Dukakis versus Jackson.
Jackson will need white votes to do well here. He's bound to get support in liberal Madison, home of the state university, but he also claims widespread blue-collar support. I stood with you at the Chrysler plant in Kenosha, he reminds crowds, or the strike at the Cudahy plant. The question is, will they now stand with him?
A good show in Wisconsin will also lay to rest the myth that Jackson doesn't get white votes.
Jesse Jackson has stirred the very hearts of people. He is a master at communication. It remains to be seen whether people legitimately feel he can be elected.
Just to make things more confusing, this is a crossover primary. Republicans can vote in the Democratic contest. And the Republican governor, perhaps intending to make mischief, has said, if I were a Democrat, I'd vote for Jesse Jackson. In any case, coming after Michigan and now Connecticut, this primary is suddenly a lot more important than anybody thought it would be just a month ago. Bruce Morton, CBS News, Milwaukee.
Television preacher Jimmy Swaggart fired back today at his Protestant Pentecostal mother church, the National Assemblies of God. Swaggart doesn't want to stay out of the pulpit and off of the tube for as long as they have ordered him to do. At the same time, another well-known electronic evangelist made more news of sorts by pleading for more money. CBS News correspondent Bill Whitaker reports on deepening concern over the high publicity mix of scripture and scandal.
You have a malignancy called sin.
Jimmy Swaggart will be back on TV in 2 months. Today, through his attorney, Swaggart said he intends to defy the Assemblies of God national leaders who banned him from the pulpit for a year.
They have a right to do what they think is right, and we have a right to do what we think is right. He's looking forward with great anticipation to being in the pulpit on May 22nd, 1988.
Church leaders who had vowed to defrock Swaggart if he disobeyed their orders today took a hard-line approach.
This is not a legal matter, this is an ecclesiastical matter, and we're not talking to one of our disciplined ministers through a lawyer.
But in Swaggart's home state of Louisiana, where church leaders had recommended he do only 3 months penance for his sexual misconduct, many fellow ministers stood by Swaggart.
We were going a little lenient on him compared to the many others that have been disciplined, but we had a reason for it, because we were dealing with the ministry of a man as well as the man himself.
Swaggart's backers characterize this as a purely religious dispute, but some observers say there's a purely secular side as well. They say Swaggart's nearly $150 million a year religious empire would likely fall apart without him at the helm.
We're dealing with a hard and fast economic decision. The cost of obeying is too great a risk to take.
Economics also prompted televangelist Oral Roberts to ask his TV flock today to send in an additional $8 million.
You can't take $8 million, which is the budget for 1 year, and make that last 10 years or 20 years.
Last year, it took a divine death threat to bring in the money Roberts said was needed to save his ministry. Tonight, many are wondering if repeated pleas for money and repeated sex scandals might pose an even greater threat to the life of TV evangelism. Bill Whitaker, CBS News, Baton Rouge.
Separation of church and state, the rising tide of teenage pregnancy in America, and a school program designed to deal with that all came up today in arguments before the U.S. Supreme Court. The question before justices: is it sex education or religious education at taxpayer expense? CBS News law correspondent Rita Braver reports on this latest battle over church, state, the Constitution, and the classroom.
Ninth graders at Robinson High School in Northern Virginia hear the benefits of chastity.
You have much more time to communicate more on an intellectual level, to find out about each other emotionally, socially, most definitely spiritually.
This sex education course is one of hundreds funded under a law Congress enacted to curb teenage pregnancy by stressing moral values. And that has put classes like this in the center of a legal battle over the separation between church and state. The law requires that no grant money can go to organizations that promote abortion, and that all programs must include participation by religious groups.
This bill is an education bill. It's trying to help young people to realize there's an alternative to abortion, and that alternative is abstinence.
But opponents of the law argue that it violates the First Amendment prohibition against state-supported religion.
The Family Life Act discriminates against those who are mostly mainline Protestants, who also understand abortion to be a viable moral alternative for some persons, and gives the weight of government to one particular religious perspective.
A lower court agreed, striking down the law as unconstitutional. Today, the Supreme Court took up the issue. The Reagan administration backed the law, saying that there is a long history of religious organizations' involvement in social issues in this country. Solicitor General Charles Freed told the court that as long as chastity and not religion is taught, the law is constitutional. But attorney Janet Benshoff of the American Civil Liberties Union said in at least 1,200 cases, religion had been taught. Justice Scalia asked, can't Congress pass laws to teach young people sexual restraint? Outside, Benshoff repeated her answer.
We have clients who were told that condoms cause birth defects, that in order to be chaste, they had to go on every date and pretend that Jesus is their date.
Still, some religious groups warn that if they are excluded from federal grants, there will be even more teenage pregnancy.
If you defund religiously affiliated organizations in this kind of act, you will cut out large portions of the teenage population from care.
Now the U.S. Supreme Court must decide whether in trying to protect young girls from pregnancy, Congress may be violating their First Amendment rights by subjecting them to a religious point of view. Rita Braver, CBS News at the Supreme Court.
The House voted overwhelmingly tonight to approve a new package of humanitarian aid to the Nicaraguan Contra rebels. In addition to direct help for the Contras, the $50 million package includes money for child victims of the Nicaraguan war and for ceasefire verification expenses. This deal apparently was sealed after House Speaker Jim Wright promised Reagan aides a quick vote on future military help for the Contras if the ceasefire collapses. The Senate could vote on this tomorrow. Still to come on the CBS Evening News, correspondent Ray Brady on the latest foreign yen for America. And Terry Drinkwater on the frequent flyers who think $64 for a 22-mile trip is the bargain of the year.
Okay, honey. Can you tell who hasn't had their Kellogg's bran flakes?
Hang in there, honey.
Well, some people feel a little sluggish if they're not eating a balanced diet.
Oh, boy, am I sluggish.
Kellogg's are the only bran flakes with fiber and a full day supply of iron to help balance your diet. And that's one great way to help fight that sluggish feeling. So maybe you can tell who hasn't had their Kellogg's bran flakes
Great shot, honey.
and who has. Kellogg's bran flakes, the fiber and iron cereal.
You can't decide until you know what New York is doing? I'll get back to you.
Those numbers ready?
I just called Chicago. I'm calling New York and London next.
The Peterson deal won't wait forever.
What's he expect you to do? I don't know. I can't talk to everyone at once.
Dedication, attention to detail, and caring. At Realty World, it's not just the quality of the material our jackets are made of, but the quality of the people who wear them.
When your coffee's smooth and easy, like Sunday morning, and it tastes your way, it's necessarily Nescafe.
Great coffee blends to change the way. That's necessarily Nescafe.
Israel's harshest ever crackdown in the territories it occupies had one officially stated purpose: to prevent violence on this 12th anniversary of a bloody Arab protest. It failed, and more Palestinians died. Bob Simon is there.
Palestinians were locked in, journalists were locked out of the occupied territories for the second day today, but the authorities did not close off Jerusalem because it is Israel's capital, so this is where newsmen could cover the riots. A few miles up the road in Ramallah, a woman was shot dead after soldiers said she assaulted them with a pickaxe. 4 Palestinians died today, 45 were wounded, scores more taken prisoner. There have been over 1,000 arrests in the last week alone. An Arab news agency, which has been a main source of information for foreign journalists, was closed by police for 6 months. But today's main event was inside Israel, a protest by Israeli citizens, Israeli Arabs, marching to mark Land Day, an annual demonstration against the government's confiscation of their land. Thousands marched up and down the hills of Galilee, showing off their growing political power. These Arabs represent 18% of the Israeli electorate. The whole town of El-Fahim, not far from Nazareth, was in the streets. This was once the richest town in Israel, people here will tell you, but that was before its fields and orchards were declared state property. It is now short of land and housing and water, and its schools have become cradles of anger.
Nobody tried to help us, from the government. So they don't give us money, they don't help at all.
You learn to walk carefully in Fachem. The puddles are not from the rain, they are from the sewers. And these are not refugees, they are Israeli taxpayers. But the uprising in the occupied territories is leaving its mark.
We do not agree anymore to be second or third class citizens. And where? In our homeland.
We started with two populations that were in direct conflict with terrible memories. So against the backdrop of Arab hostility to Israel in the Middle East, I think we've come a long way and we will continue.
You don't see many young men in Fachem. They all leave town before dawn to work in Jewish-owned factories and fields and cities. This week, many were building these luxury apartments in Tel Aviv.
We built Israel in our hands, but they prevent us to build our houses.
But teenagers are not prevented from staging guerrilla theater, a play about Palestinians who are beaten and shot by Israeli soldiers, a play about the uprising.
What do the Israeli authorities want the Israeli Arabs to be?
Jews. Or nothing.
They are Israeli citizens. They call themselves members of the Palestinian nation. Since the uprising began, more and more Israelis are calling them the enemy within. Bob Simon, CBS News, Fachem.
The 10-day general strike in Panama lost strength today. Military strongman Noriega still firmly in command. And correspondent Richard Roth reports that despite official U.S. opposition to his rule, Noriega is getting a lot of help from some U.S.-owned corporations.
Supermarkets reopened today, and shoppers who could afford it were stocking up.
We have to be prepared.
Prepared for what?
Prepare for, we don't know what could happen.
Grocery shelves weren't all full, but stores were busy, a bad sign for government opponents who are depending on consumers' support to keep up pressure on the Noriega regime.
We know that there are ups and downs, and this is not necessarily a down.
The optimism is based on the continuing cash shortage, which puts a brake on spending. The government is hoping banks will reopen tomorrow, but its biggest boost may be coming from elsewhere. Taxes. The line forms here for tax payments coming due, and it turns out the tax bills being paid by some American-owned companies are helping to keep the Noriega government afloat.
CBS News has been told that despite U.S. policy urging bills not be paid to the military-ruled government, American-owned companies here paid more than $3 million to Noriega's tax collectors in the past month, much of it in cash.
The three companies known to have paid are Eastern Airlines, United Brands, which owns United Fruit Company here, and Texaco, which operates Panama's only oil refinery. Payments made so far by those three companies would cover the Army's bi-weekly payroll, according to foreign analysts here. American businessmen point out they're obeying Panamanian law, and there's no U.S. law against it. The streets were quiet again, but Panama's Human Rights Committee today accused the government of brutality in this week's raid on the hotel where journalists and opposition figures were meeting.
And I came to the hotel only for a social affair with my daughter.
An American woman told how she was caught in the roundup, and pictures became available. In all, 59 people were arrested when government agents stormed the hotel. Those dragged away were accused of sedition and assault, among other charges. All but two have now been released after paying fines. Richard Roth, CBS News, Panama City.
Fixing this water damage will cost $1,200. Could I have prevented it?
You could with Thompson's Water Seal.
This water damage is going to run $750. What would have stopped it?
Prevent water damage with Thompson's Water Seal. Simply brush Thompson's on wood, brick, or concrete, and it penetrates to form a barrier water can't get past, even when driven by 98-mile-per-hour winds.
This time, I'm going to protect my new deck with Thompson's Water Seal. A great defense against repair expense.
We know how you love shrimp.
It's the once-a-year Red Lobster Shrimp Festival, featuring the shrimp sampler and our enormous shrimp feast. Platters start at just $6.95. Kids for just $1.95. Now that's a shrimp festival.
We know how you love shrimp.
The Red Lobster Shrimp Festival.
Try the shrimp and crab leg feast, just $10.95 on Fridays and Saturdays only.
When constipation plus hemorrhoids twist you in knots, try Haley's MO, the laxative made with Phillips Milk of Magnesia, plus mineral oil, so it lubricates for easier relief. Haley's MO, the laxative for hemorrhoid sufferers.
When I'm stuffed up, I want relief fast.
Neosynephrine starts working in a neosecond.
A neosecond. I like that.
Today, nothing works faster to get you breathing.
Breathing. I like that.
Neosynephrine, relief in a neosecond.
The weakened dollar now makes American goods less expensive overseas, and foreigners are flocking to buy what they consider to be bargains in this country. Is that strengthening the USA's economy or turning the nation into a kind of oversized colony? Business correspondent Ray Brady has been looking for answers.
Ryota Tanabe is just one of many foreign investors buying properties like this Manhattan penthouse. Buying at what is, for him, a bargain price, $2 million.
あっちの方が空港なんね。あちら JFK はもう少し向こうの方になりますね。これがクイーンズボロブリッジ。In Tokyo, the space is the most expensive thing to buy, and in Manhattan, even in Manhattan, you get quite a lot of space for what you pay for.
With the U.S. dollar way down, foreign investment is soaring, a record $1.5 trillion in real estate, farmland, and corporations. The British own the most, followed by the Dutch, then the Japanese, buying with cheap American dollars they got by selling us TV sets and Toyotas.
They want to invest in the economy that exists in the United States, the best in the world.
American household names, Firestone, fought over by Italians and Japanese, won by Japanese. Ragu Spaghetti, it's now Dutch. The British burned this town in 1814, but they now own $1 billion worth of Washington real estate. And that kind of growing foreign investment around the country is fueling debate in Congress and elsewhere.
Somebody should be responsible for determining at which point an acquisition by a foreign company offers certain drawbacks to this country.
The administration discounts those concerns.
Foreign investment has helped create new American jobs and American exports. It has contributed to the rising productivity of American manufacturing.
But at BASF, a chemical company, workers still won't accept lower wages from new German owners.
The American economy is becoming a branch plant economy, just like the economies of Latin America or Asia were for American companies.
In Hawaii, the Japanese have bought up so much, the mayor of Honolulu wants an end to it.
I have proposed that the legislature forbid the sale of residential, preservation, and agricultural land and property to any alien or person who is not a citizen of the United States.
As the debate goes on, popular TV shows in Japan feature prime bits of America up for sale. Even as some American officials visit Tokyo offices, seeking out investment with a map of the state of Illinois. Ray Brady, CBS News, Washington.
Painful conditions are a fact of life in a modern hospital. And when it comes to relieving everyday pain, the overwhelming choice of hospitals is Tylenol. Tylenol is clinically proven effective for all kinds of pain. That's a medical fact. And there's another important thing you should know. Hospitals can trust Tylenol not to irritate your stomach. In fact, unlike aspirin or even ibuprofen, Tylenol is so easy on your stomach, most ulcer patients can use it. Tylenol. It's tough on pain, easy on your stomach.
Betty Crocker's new potato medleys are like nothing before. It's the vegetables that make them taste like so much more. Mushrooms and green beans. It's Betty's potatoes with the vegetable teas. New potato medleys.
Imagine going to work one day and finding your office like this. Morning. Well, it really happened to an IBM customer. A flood put their computer room under tons of water. One call to IBM, and a team of experts dived right in. They worked around the clock, and they got the system up and running in record time. No matter what size your problem or your company, That kind of service is something you should think about, because very often in business, when it rains, it pours.
IBM, the bigger picture.
Where does it hurt?
Here.
For indigestion, heartburn, and gas, nobody does as much as Malox Plus. Dose for dose, it neutralizes more than any regular strength antacid and dissolves gas. Nobody does as much as Malox Plus.
In the nation's capital today, the cherry trees were wearing pink and white for Eastertide, and the tourists were out in droves to look at them. Those lovely trees, 6,000 of them, were given to the city by Japan in 1912 and 1965. They're only in bloom for about a week, but during that week they rival the city's monuments and memorials as crowd pleasers. People are taking to the skies in record numbers these days, and not just to see the tourist attractions. Last Friday, one airline reported selling a one-day record 49,000 seats at Chicago's O'Hare International Airport. And that sort of thing is happening to other airlines in other places. Terry Drinkwater explains why.
United Airlines Flight 295, service to San Francisco.
Service from Oakland across the bay. It's just an 11-mile flight, but passengers like Ken Ulrich are buying tickets and rushing to crowd on. The reason, he says, is greed.
And this is basically the shortest, cheapest flight to take and still qualify for the triple mileage program.
To boost business, most airlines are promising frequent flyers triple the mileage they'll actually fly for a whole year if they just take one round trip before midnight tomorrow. The reward can be free tickets to some of the most exotic spots on Earth. So the rush is on.
We've qualified now for American and PSA as well. We've been busy the last 3 weekends.
The mileage programs are supposed to encourage passenger loyalty.
I have to go on United from now on for the rest of the year.
The airfare between Oakland and San Francisco is $64, hardly a bargain when the bridge toll is 75 cents and just $2 by rapid transit. But no matter, with the deadline fast approaching, there are people in a flying frenzy.
Gets to San Francisco at 7:20. Continental comes back at 8 o'clock, gets back here at 8:55.
As they all fly ever so briefly over the bay, are these passengers dreaming of Oakland? Probably not. More likely, they imagine themselves arriving in one of those magic lands of triple mileage: Hawaii, Paris, Tahiti. Terry Drinkwater, CBS News, San Francisco.
And that's tonight's CBS Evening News. Dan Rather, we hope you'll watch CBS this morning. Tomorrow morning, I'll see you here tomorrow. Good night.
Got a lot of eggs there.
Oh, you know what I always say. Easter ain't Easter without eggs. Just look at this day. It's going to be a real great Easter.
Smoke all these yourself?
You know what I always say. Easter ain't Easter without a ham. Hey, didn't I put my eggs there?
That's the FTD Easter basket bouquet.
Real nice. You know what I always say.
Easter ain't Easter without flowers. The FTD Easter basket bouquet. Bright spring flowers in a colorful Easter basket.
Why do they call it heartburn? When it's me, your stomach, that's hurting. When antacids don't stop the pain from coming back, it could be an ulcer. It's okay, because there are treatment programs to help heal ulcers. If you think you have an ulcer, go see your doctor and ask about the available treatment programs. Sponsored by SmithKline & French, the ulcer experts. You could make your stomach very happy.
Your daughter's wedding.
At last.
And you've got dirty dentures.
I just soaked them.
Soaking's not enough. Brushing with Denture Cream Denture toothpaste cleans almost twice as clean.
Twice as clean.
Brush with Denture Cream or Denture Gel.
I've got big news for prune lovers who also love cereal. Actually, it's kind of small news when you look at it. It's Sunsweet bite-sized pitted prunes. Try them on your cereal, and you'll agree Sunsweet bite-size is just the right size.
This is CBS.
Coming up on Eyewitness News tonight, why bus riders do not have to worry about getting to work tomorrow, but they may have to worry next week. And we'll tell you why Tennessee's prison parole system is coming under fire. Plus why some parents want to limit the way sex education is taught in Tennessee schools. We'll have these stories and a lot more coming up next on Eyewitness News.
It's the GMC Truck Celebration Cash In, so cash in on value. Right now, get $500 cash back on select new GMC trucks, Sierras, S15 Jimmys, S15 pickups, even full-size vans. And ask about option value packages on the same